10 minutes before 8 on this Friday morning. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's continue to discuss the issue of the unclaimed bodies that are sitting at Gauteng mortuaries or that have not been claimed by family. We're joined by Dr Medupe Modisane. He's the Acting Deputy Director General of Hospital Services in Gauteng. Thanks so much for joining us. Good to have you in studio.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Obviously, you were listening to the interview that we had with Jack Bloom. Let's just elaborate a little bit, perhaps get a response from you. Why is the number so high?
The number is a reflection of the general patient load in our mortuaries, the impact of unnatural deaths in Gauteng, as Honorable Bloom mentioned. Stabbings, gunshots, car accidents, all unnatural causes have to go through our mortuaries for medical legal autopsies to confirm the cause of death. And the process actually starts with a police investigation. A case is opened, and our function as forensic mortuaries is to conduct the autopsies and give an autopsy report.
Okay. Once that's done, and again, I'll go through the whole procedure, within 30 days, if a body is not claimed or it's an unclaimed body, it receives a pauper's burial, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. What's the process of trying to contact the family, to try and identify the victim?
The first point is to try and identify, get any paper documentation on the deceased if it's available, and we use our own internal systems. We have a communications department that tries to contact whoever is available, failing which we then publish in the daily newspaper, mainly the Sowetan, on the death section for those that we haven't identified yet. And people can then respond. We work together with the SABC to help trace the relatives. And unfortunately, then a small percentage of the victims are not identified, about 8%.
Apparently it's 8.5%, but still, I mean, the figure, the exact number, I think, is 2,366 unclaimed or unidentified bodies. I know you say it's a small amount, but it's a lot, because the total amount is 27,737, so 2,366 unclaimed bodies. It's a big number.
It is a big number. The regulations stipulate that if they are not identified within 30 days, we should give them proper burials.
Yeah.
Sometimes our staff at the institutions delay the burial, hoping that something will still come up. But basically, yes, we just need to give them proper burials. And proper burials are, because of the medical legal nature of the cases, are fairly stringent. They have to be buried by an undertaker that has certificate of competence. They are buried in marked graves. I think the misconception is that they are not marked, and the information.
So if a family member does come and want to claim the body, then they can be exhumed. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then they will be given to the family, and they can have a proper burial.
They can rebury.
How often does that happen? If a body is unclaimed, and then eventually a family does come? Is it an often occurrence or not really?
Not really.
No.
We do have once in a while family coming and claim, but it's fairly rare. So
one of the issues that the DA is bringing is that perhaps there isn't enough of a process done by the municipality to try and find the families. Start a website, a controlled website, which I think that was one of the suggestions that were made, so that it makes it easier for families to claim bodies. What is your response to this? Is this in the pipeline?
There is a project, Honorable Bloom did mention it, that is trying to set up this website together with the Red Cross. Because of the migrant nature of the province, a lot of unidentified bodies are not from this province per se, so the challenge is to reach next of kin within the country in other provinces, and quite a significant number actually outside the province, outside the country.
Yeah.
So a website like that will actually come in handy.
Well, it certainly would, because I mean, if you say that you're just publishing it in a local newspaper, the Sowetan, for instance, people that are outside of the country would never have any ideas, and therefore their loved ones remain unclaimed. So surely that's something that you should be working on as a matter of urgency.
Yes, we trying to get that up and running. The project has to conform to stringent medical legal regulations, and our forensic department at Wits University is working together with the Red Cross to develop the website to make sure it complies with all the prescripts.
Yeah,
but yes, I agree with you that it should be expedited. Yeah,
it certainly should be, because, I mean, we're still sitting with the Life Esidimeni tragedy that is hanging over Gauteng's head. And surely it's hanging over the entire department when we talk about the health department and the failure of the health department there. Now, these 21 people that are still missing, there's I suppose, a lot of perhaps an understanding that these bodies could be buried in these unclaimed graves. I mean, was there enough to identify them and perhaps get them back to their families? This is still a big question mark as well. Have you gone through these bodies? Has there been a process of trying to identify them with the families that are looking?
The process was undertaken. It went through stringent fine-tooth comb assessment. We actually started with over 100 bodies. And whittled it down to 60, and now we have 21. We've gone through all our forensic mortuaries, hospital mortuaries, to try and make sure that they are not in the unidentified unclaimed cohort. And at this point in time, all those databases have been exhausted. So of the 21, maybe just to add, the recent information came to light about 2-3 weeks ago that 4 of those there's evidence that SASSA grants are being collected. So we're trying to get more information from SASSA as to the whereabouts of the 4. So it's an ongoing process. It never ends because these are still missing people. So,
you're saying
there's a chance that 4 may still be alive of the 21.
So you're saying that of those 21, 4 are still collecting SASSA grants on a monthly basis?
Correct.
But whether they are physically collecting them or somebody is doing it on their behalf?
Yes, that's why we don't want to confirm anything until we have that information correct.
That's very, very interesting, but I'm sure it's something that would be able to be answered quite quickly. I mean, surely you know where the grants are being collected and who is collecting them, if someone is collecting them on their behalf. I mean, could this be a very fast, quick process as well?
It will be a quick process.
Well, one would hope so. But the problem is that we always talk about these things, and yet the process is never quick. It's always fast, because we talk about a website, we talk about the Red Cross, we talk about forensics and SAPS helping, and it never happens. And I can almost feel like next year we'll be sitting and talking about the same thing. So can we get a timeline? I'm going to put you on the spot here and say, can you give us a timeline as to when this website will come up, and this will actually clear the packages, the backlogs of these bodies?
At where I'm sitting, I can't confirm the exact timelines, but we can come back with further information once we've engaged the technical people who are developing the website. I can commit that we can come back with accurate information.
Okay, and I won't ask you for a timeline of when you're coming back, because I suppose you'll have to speak to other people to find out when you can come back. But that's unfortunately the problem. Things just go too slowly. But thank you for coming, and we do thank you for your time and for talking to us here on the program. Here giving us a little bit of an explanation as to why bodies are piling up is Dr Medupe Modisane. I'm not saying piling up as in the physical sense of piling up. They're unclaimed bodies that have received paupers burials, and they haven't been claimed. We're talking in excess of 2,400 bodies, and this is a big problem that needs to be sorted out. Dr Modisane is the Acting Deputy Director General of Hospital Services in Gauteng. Let's take a break. News at 8 on.